The cheating heart will tell on you. Running from the pains of a sinner, 'cause ain't no band-aid for a broken soul. I'm on the highway to hell. On the highway to hell.
Welcome everyone to Podcast 69 South, where we cuss and discuss true crime, cold cases, current events, and hot topics, along with our state of society today. This is your trigger warning. Our podcast content is produced for adult listeners 18 years of age and older. We discuss situations that may be offensive and triggering to some listeners. Sit back, relax, and enjoy. Welcome back, everybody, to part 2 of Jayson Tatlock. This is 69 South, and I'm Chop, your host. I'm glad you tuned in with us. I heard you going through some kind of cool songs there earlier. With me always is Julie. How are you doing today, babe?
I'm good. How are you?
Let's get right back into it. We got a little bit more of the victims stuff that we wanted to talk about. And she had went back to his office to kind of talk to him. I guess she'd had a day or two to think about it, and he was still at his office. Well, she went to his office, and she ended up basically telling him that she wanted to end the relationship type thing that they had together. She had told him that she was kind of embarrassed and confused about the situation, and, you know, she didn't want him to get in trouble, and that basically she thought that it was all her fault, and she wanted it to go back to the student resource officer relationship, no more secretive bullshit going on. And she said at that point in time, his fucking face turned red. I bet it was about to fucking pop.
And he didn't respond to her at all.
He didn't respond to that shit, no.
Now, she recalled that she was blaming herself, and Tatlock told her that it was not her fault. She said that she reassured Tatlock that she was not going to tell anybody, you know, what had happened, and he responded with the effect of saying, at this state in my life, it wouldn't even matter. She recalled reassuring him some more that what they did would be kept between them, and made some dismissive statements about being influenced by consuming alcohol.
She was giving him excuses and making excuses up. You know, we could just
trying
say,
to make him feel better.
Yeah, and probably trying to make it sound right about what the fuck happened in her mind.
Well, she told him that she was going to give him some time to process, you know, what they had just talked about, and exited his office. And she was walking backwards out the door, and she recalled telling him that she hoped he wasn't mad at her, and he responded back, you know, that he wasn't mad at all.
After the victim had kind of went through the story, the interviewer wanted to go back and re-hit some of the bullet points, and the interviewer wanted to know more about the conversations that they had about the masturbation shit. And basically she said that he had asked her some weird fucking questions about what she used and if she did it and all kinds of weird shit, but we're not going to go into all that because it's irrelevant. Yeah. But she said there was different instances other than the ones that she spoke of before. There was an occasion where she wore some Lululemon style
Lululemon.
Oh, Lululemon. That's right. You said that shit to me the other day, and I was like, what are you talking about? So it's like a tennis outfit type shit or something? I never fucking heard of Lululemon.
Fab athletic workout.
I thought that was like some Korean cartoon character or something. Anyway, with spandex shorts and kind of a longer shirt. Is that what Lululemon is? But she recalled that Tatlock and Officer Braden was in the office, and she said that Tatlock told her that it was so hard to not to stare at her ass when the other cop was in there.
He said that?
That's what she said. He said, shit. She did tell the interviewer that she believed that Officer Braden may have been suspicious of the relationship between her and Tatlock. She also believed that Braden may have confronted Tatlock about him taking her out to lunch by himself. I bet he was like, dude, what the fuck are you doing? Why the fuck are you taking that girl like to lunch in the fucking cop car,
Or the school
resource
cop
car,
or
whatever it is? I'm sure they call it the school cop car or whatever cool kids call it nowadays.
She also stated that while riding in the school cop car with Tatlock, he always urged her to stay quiet whenever he took phone calls. She also stated that she never witnessed him acting weird with other students or being inappropriate.
And basically, that's what the victim had said. I mean, there's a few more things. He asked her about a couple of apps on her phone that it's not really interesting to discuss and kind of maybe a little bit private. But he asked her if she deleted anything off her phone. She told him what she had deleted, what she hadn't deleted. She provided the Gmail app or the Gmail email deal that they were, the address that she and him was communicating through. So let's get to the part where I've been dying to check out what Tatlock's got to say about this shit. I mean, he's a former Monroe County deputy, Owen County deputy. He worked for the investigator as the Monroe County prosecutor's office.
Public defenders.
Public defender's office. And he's
Seymour Police.
Seymour Police. He's either he helps with sexual misconduct classes or.
Yeah, he did. It's in the probable cause affidavit. I guess he assisted with one.
So he knows what the fuck's going on. So let's see what this dude had to say when the police called up with him and asked him what the fuck.
On June 21st, 2024, Detective Springston, with the company of Detective Arthur and Detective Wilson, attempted to make contact with Tatlock via his phone number while they were all at the Spencer Police Department. He did not answer the call, and I left a voicemail stating my name and law enforcement title and told him that I'd like an opportunity to speak with him. I told him I was currently at the Spencer Police Department and provided my telephone number for a call back. Now, around 1:30 p.m., I followed up this call by sending a text message to Tatlock. And it said, "Hey, Jayson, it's the detective from DNR. Did you get my voicemail by chance?" Shortly thereafter, Tatlock called him back and they spoke briefly over the phone. He initially stated he did not want to come into the station to speak with me, and I explained further the reason I'd like to speak with him, and he asked if he could think about it for a little bit.
I bet when he got that text message and that phone call, he was like, fuck, it's Chris, man, the fucking DNR dude. We was on the water. I'm fucked. They're at the Spencer Police Department. I guarantee he was a fucking nervous wreck.
I bet he about shit his pants.
Yeah, dude was like, "Hey, Jayson, it's dude from the DNR. You know who the fuck it is." I bet he was like, "Motherfucker, I'm hit."
I bet he about had a heart attack sitting right there, as he should have, though.
I wonder if he called Chris from the DNR officer and was like, "Hey, buddy, what's going on?" Like nothing was fucking happening.
We'll be right back.
Hey everybody, it's Chop here at 69 South. We have gathered quite the following of new and faithful listeners. In fact, we're in 72 countries and 1,600 cities. It excites the shit out of us, to be honest. We have countless downloads and streams. If you're a small business starting out or an accomplished business looking for some good advertisement, shoot us an email at 69southpodcast@gmail.com. The 6 and the 9 are numbers, southpodcast@gmail.com. Thank you for listening. Have a good day. We will send you a advertisement package.
Well, so I can't even believe they called him, and why didn't they just show up, like do a pop-up and be like, "What's up?" They would have showed up on me. They wouldn't have just called. I mean, if I did something wrong and I had a warrant or was going through an investigation.
Yeah, they wouldn't have called me.
They would have just come out here.
Left a voicemail or shot me a text. "Hey, bro, hit me up," type shit. No, fuck no. Obviously, I'm pretty sure, I mean, they probably were aware of each other. If they didn't know each other, they probably knew each other in a professional manner. I'm sure of it, man.
Well, Tatlock confirmed that he was at home, and the detective told him that he was currently at the Spencer Police Department and to think about it and then get back with him with a decision. The detective thanked him, and Tatlock did the same.
Well, guess what? Right after that, they did what you said they should do in the first place. They just showed up at his house. The detective showed up at Tatlock's residence located around Owen County, Indiana, and it should be noted that this interaction was recorded by the body-worn camera. They made contact and they introduced themselves, and they told Tatlock that they weren't trying to coerce him into speaking with them, but rather they was offering him an opportunity to tell his side of the story. Well, Tatlock responded by saying, well, quote, I guess just file whatever and I'll just deal with it in court.
Tatlock also asked if he was going to be read his Miranda warning. The detective advised that he would, and then Tatlock asked if he could have a public defender present to assist him. The detective advised him that he didn't think that it was possible to get a public defender to come to his house in that moment to assist him while speaking with me.
The detective asked Tatlock what his thoughts were about speaking with the detectives while they were at his home. Tatlock advised that his wife and son were home, and a detective offered to make a phone call to talk about trying to get a public defender to represent him. He advised Tatlock that he would read the Miranda warning and presented a Mirandized waiver form to be used as documentation. The detective also told Tatlock that at any other point after being Mirandized, that if he wasn't comfortable talking, he could just tell the detective. They continued conversing, and he advised him that he had learned that he resigned from his position as a school resource officer. Tatlock explained that he felt like he wasn't given due process from the school. He advised that the school officials called him numerous times and then came to his house to take his school vehicle.
He wouldn't even take the school vehicle back? Well, this is 2 weeks.
After the incident.
And like 3 days to the day after the incident. And we know it was reported on the 18th of June. So 3 days before this, it was reported. So something happened within that time that
they made him resign, and he wouldn't even take the vehicle back. So he already knew he was in some shit.
Yeah,
he already
but he's
knew this was
complaining
coming.
about due process when he knows everything that he's done.
Right. And I bet you if you was a cop though, why would you be like, are you going to read me my Miranda rights? If that, you always hear people say, oh, I got out of this case because they didn't read me my rights. You think he would have waited for the motherfuckers not to read them and maybe try to get out of it or something. You know what I mean? He reminded him. I don't know. It's irrelevant, but
I don't think he's that smart.
But anyway, they did give him his Miranda, and they ended up saying they were going to have the interview in the garage. Tatlock opened up the garage and got a drink, and he offered the detective some water, and they declined. They situated the chairs in preparation for the interview, and they discussed it. It was all going to be recorded on body cam, and we're going to get right into it. Here we go. Right off the bat, the detectives asked Tatlock if they knew what they were there for and what they wanted to talk about. He stated that, yeah, I took the girl on a fishing trip, and that was probably a violation of school policy for an employee to be alone with a student outside of school to go on a fishing trip.
He advised that he had last work on Monday, June 17th and Tuesday, June 18th. So he was working the day that the victim had disclosed everything and the day that everything was reported. He worked that day. When asked, Tatlock said that he had taken the victim on a fishing trip on Tuesday a couple of weeks prior. This corroborated the victim's description of the day and the fishing trip. He indicated that on that date, he and the victim went fishing at Cataract Lake and launched from the Q-Knot boat ramp. He agreed that he and the victim met up at the school to depart for the trip. After being directed to explain how their interactions began at Bloomington High School North, Tatlock said that the victim was a student who would hang out, cut up, and eat snacks in his SRO office at the school. He stated that he first met the victim during the first week of the 2023-2024 school year. Tatlock then reviewed his law enforcement employment history with me. He confirmed that prior to working as an SRO with Bloomington North, he was employed as a police officer with both Seymour, Indiana Police Department and the Monroe County Sheriff's Department. Tatlock added later that he is also employed as an investigator for the Public Defender's Office. After working for Monroe County Sheriff's Department, he stated that he had also worked as a deputy for the Owen County Sheriff's Department.
Damn, so this dude's been a fucking cop everywhere.
For a long time.
Seymour, Owen County, Monroe County. That's crazy. He also stated that him and his wife had been married for 26 years. He stated that he began his position as an SRO with Bloomington North High School in July of 2023. He recalled that during the first week of the school year, he observed the victim arriving late to school with a Starbucks in her hand. He stated that he cracked a joke, and that was the first time he and the victim had talked. He shared that there were approximately 1,600 students enrolled in the school. He confirmed that the victim was a junior during this past school year. Tatlock described the victim as outgoing, someone who interacted with many of the school staff members. He added that towards the end of the school year, the victim visited his office more often, asking him for help with her assignments and to eat snacks. He stated the victim would often talk with him about her deceased parents and her family situation. He stated that he would interact with the victim both in the hallways and in his office. He stated that the door to his office was regularly kept open and that 15 to 20 students would regularly stop by.
He also stated that student participants of the Bridges program would visit his office. He advised that these students had social and or emotional disorders and would come talk to him when they were having bad days. He confirmed that the victim was not in that program and named a male student, also a junior, who he said also visited his office a lot. He said that he would talk to this male student about sports, games, and he added that a male student would often come to his office and play with the Rubik's Cube.
This kind of sucks, man. Other than all this, I really hope no other shit comes out about this dude and he gets his shit together. You know what I mean? Because, I mean, you're a cop for that long. I mean, we've kind of looked him up. I haven't seen any other bullshit about him. Seems like he's kind of trying to mentor kids and shit. It's just this one girl, man, got the best of him when maybe he's going through some kind of midlife crisis or something. Crisis. Thanks, babe. I don't know, man. It just, the whole situation is fucking sucks for everybody involved, I think.
He also advised that this past school year, he was one of 2 SROs assigned to Bloomington North. Earlier in the year, a female SRO officer was his partner and added that when she left for another job, she was replaced by a different person.
Wait a minute. So in the past school year, his partner was a female police officer? Like
yeah, it was a male.
A year before that?
It was a male previously, and then before that, it was the woman.
So in the previous school year, he had a female police officer partner.
Yeah.
And then she left for another job.
Mm-hmm.
I was just remembering something back in the PCA. Probably nothing.
So the detective wants to discuss the topic of hall passes. Tatlock stated that he was not aware that there had been any previous issues with the victim and possible abuse of using hall passes. It was his belief that any member of the staff could give a student a hall pass, and said that he had only gave her a hall pass on a few occasions, and that he also gave hall passes to other students besides her.
That's forgery. He's giving fraudulent hall passes out. I don't know.
The detective confronted Tatlock about the communications with the victim outside of school hours. He agreed that he and the victim would communicate via email after exchanging email addresses. When asked about the sharing of photographs via email, he agreed that the victim had sent him photos when she was in Florida on vacation. He stated that the content of the emails was, quote, stupid stuff, end quote, and that the victim would ask him to bring her food. He confirmed that he did purchase food for the victim because of her asking, adding that he had also procured food for others. He agreed that on the last day of school, he had taken both the victim and a male student to get something to eat, but couldn't remember exactly if it was McDonald's, Wendy's, Chick-fil-A. When asked about some other occasions, he stated that he had taken the victim to get a milkshake or something. When prompted further, he indicated that this outing occurred after school was out of session. He then recalled that on the outing with the victim and the male student on the last day of school, he was driving the students in his SRO vehicle. He stated that the victim asked to be brought to her house to pick up a book that needed to be returned to school, in addition to the trip for food. He said that he dropped the male student off first and drove the victim back to school. He agreed that he and the victim exchanged gifts on the last day of school. He said that she gave him a candle and a little plaque that said "Number 1 Dad." He stated that it made him feel like the victim looked at him like a father figure.
Tatlock said in the exchange, he had also purchased the victim a $50 Starbucks card. Tatlock added that other SROs from Bloomington North High School were posting photos or information of gifts that they had received from the students at the end of the year. Tatlock agreed that the gifts given to him by the victim were a surprise to him, and he chose to surprise her. He admitted that he did not give any other gifts to any other students or staffs other than the one he gave to her. Tatlock described a situation involving a female special needs student who seemed infatuated with him and added that he was told that this student was signing her last name as Tatlock and telling others that she was his wife.
When asked, he agreed that he had access to programs within the school Skyward system to look up students' information. He admitted to looking up the victim's information in the database. He advised that he did not have the victim's phone number and that he and the victim would communicate in person or through email. He stated that he would use his phone and sometimes his laptop computer to send and receive emails with the victim. He stated that he was not aware of any student that had a crush on him other than the special needs student. He added that the school administrators were aware of that situation, her feelings towards Tatlock, and the actions she was doing. He stated that he did not feel like the victim had a crush on him until lately, saying that he had figured that out on the day he took the victim on the fishing trip. He felt that his interactions with the victim would not best be categorized as flirtatious, rather described his relationship with the victim more like your buddy who you just hung around.
Tatlock did say that he felt like he was kind of a father figure towards the victim, and he said that he has told her that if she needed anything, he was there for her. They asked Tatlock if he had training on, as an SR officer, how to handle officer-student relations. He said that he probably did, and he mentioned that it also should be common sense, quote-unquote, on how to handle those situations. I agree. Common sense should tell you that you don't fucking hang
Hindsight's 20/20, isn't it?
Absolutely. The officer suggested that there was a male student and the victim had been competing for his attention during the school year. Tatlock said that those two would kind of bicker back and forth. It was probably like, I'm his favorite. No, I'm his favorite.
It was exactly like that.
Right. No, he likes me more than he likes you type shit.
Yeah.
When asked if he felt that he needed to set boundaries with the victim, Tatlock said No, this is quote, no, I mean, like I said, like probably last week of school, she came around probably a little bit more than normal, but I mean, so did the male student. I think it was just because they had finals and a lot of free time.
Tatlock agreed that the victim continued to visit him at the school, even after school was out of session for the summer, adding that the victim popped in there a couple of times. Tatlock said that of those occasions, the victim either just stopped in unannounced or may have emailed him prior to stopping in. He believed that the victim visited his office 3 times after school was out for the summer. He agreed that on one of those occasions, he took the victim to get a milkshake. He stated that it was the victim's idea to go on that trip. He agreed that he took the victim on this trip using the school vehicle, and later said that he believed that they went to a Chick-fil-A on this outing to get a milkshake. He felt that this trip lasted approximately 20 minutes and occurred in the afternoon hours. He advised that he had a Facebook and Instagram social media accounts and admitted he had looked the victim up on Instagram in her presence and at her direction to view some of her photos she had posted on the account. He believed that this incident had occurred while he and the victim were in his office at the school. He stated that it was the victim's idea to go fishing together, and he again described the day of the fishing trip as Tuesday or a couple of weeks prior. When asked to describe how the fishing trip went, he said that he had shared with the victim that he purchased a new boat. She suggested that he take her fishing. He recalled that the victim told him that she hadn't been fishing since she was little. He described that he and the victim discussed where to fish, and they had talked about it going to Monroe Reservoir, Cataract Lake, Lake Wawasee. And he agreed on going to Cataract Lake in Owen County.
They asked Tatlock if he understood the situation about her getting permission to go fishing with him, and he said, so I just asked her, does your family know that you're going? Did you get permission? And she said yes. And that was pretty much all about that. Tatlock had agreed that prior to June 4th, the victim had shared photos with him about the vacation in Florida, just like he said. He received a photo of a sunset and of her in Florida. He advised the detectives that he had took a paid day off on June 4th to accommodate the fishing trip with the victim. He again stated that the arrangement took place during an in-person conversation between him and her. He said that she had even suggested for him to pick her up at her family's house the morning of the fishing trip, and he said that also led to believe that she had told her family. So he's saying she said, just pick me up at my house. So he's saying that he thought that her family knew, which I think is bullshit.
They may have known some stuff, but they didn't know the whole truth of the matter.
He did say that they were there most of the day until about 4 p.m. He said he caught a 3 or 4 pound catfish and that no other fish was caught. So they spent roughly 7 to 8 hours there and caught one fish. And that was about it.
So the detective confronted Tatlock and told him that the victim had disclosed that she asked him to purchase alcohol for her to take on the fishing trip. He agreed that he purchased the alcohol for the victim and described it as some type of flavored vodka. He said that he purchased the vodka either the night before the fishing trip or the morning of. He stated that the purchase was made in Walmart in Spencer, Indiana. He also added that he purchased a bottle of rum for himself during the transaction.
They asked Tatlock to describe the bottle of vodka that he purchased for the victim, and he recalled that it was some kind of a fruit-flavored vodka. He believed that he didn't get the right flavor that she had asked him to get. He said that shortly after launching on the boat ramp, she opened her bottle of vodka and began to drink it. Tatlock said that the victim had said that she drank alcohol with her family members and smokes pot regularly. When asked, it seemed that the victim had gotten a little tipsy. Tatlock said that she just seemed very normal through the trip. Tatlock was asked if he felt like he was doing something wrong by buying her alcohol. He responded, yes. He could not offer much describing in the manner the way the victim, if she had a buzz or not.
He knew, he was a cop. He knew how to observe somebody if they were drunk.
Oh, absolutely.
Wonder how many field sobriety tests he's done in his lifetime.
A freaking 1,000. Glossy eyes, alcohol permeating from people's breath. Probably busted thousands of people. Tatlock advised that he stored the alcohol in the storage compartments on the boat. He said that the victim was drinking the vodka with no chaser, just straight. He said he didn't bring any water on the boat, just chips, fruit snacks, beef jerky, and alcohol. That sounds like the grocery list that a teenage girl would ask for. You know what I mean? Give me some chips, fruit snacks, maybe some beef jerky, and some flavored vodka.
We'll be right back.
Hey everybody, this is Chop from 69 South, man. While we're taking a little break, get up, get yourself something to drink, grab yourself a plate of food. But hey, look up shopcitadjules.com, man. Pick up one of our badass 69 South t-shirts. A portion of the proceeds goes to victims, and it helps support our show. Help keep the lights on here in the studio. We thank you all so much for listening. Everybody just take it easy and enjoy life. That's what it's all about.
I'm just trying to think what's going through his mind, the night before this trip, and he's purchasing it. How many times did it run through his mind that what I'm doing is wrong if I get caught?
I'd say it ran through there about as many times as about how many people he's busted for doing the same shit he did that day. How about that? That's a good way to figure the number.
Yeah.
They asked Tatlock if he remembered making the comment to the victim in the effect of, damn, girl, you need to slow down. He said that the only thing I remember is there was a point in the afternoon or something where she said, well, she told me that I needed to drink more or something to catch up with her.
So she was chugging the
She
vodka.
was chugging. She was like, he was like, you need to slow down. And she was like, nah, you need to speed up.
And he was like nursing his.
Yeah. He said that he didn't drink much of the rum during the outing. He also stated that he did not know how much of the vodka she had consumed. She said she thought she drank half the bottle and he drank half his bottle. I guarantee they were fifths. Not a full guarantee, money back guarantee, but, he didn't buy a pint. I mean, nobody buys pints, do they?
I don't know how big those are, or I always get those confused. So the detective suggested to Tatlock that he had asked the victim if he could kiss her. She consented, and the two of them engaged in kissing. He denied this. The detective confronted him and told him that he was not being straight with him. The detective shared with him that the victim had reported that they had kissed. He responded, I do not remember having a kiss. The only thing I remember doing is giving a back rub. Because I asked her in the truck, I said, did you kiss me? And she said no. That's weird. Why would he ask that if it didn't happen? He's admitting to asking her that.
Is this dude mentally okay? Because she said earlier in the boat, he smacked her on the ass and was like, did I just smack you on the ass? And now
he was trying to fill her out. Oh, no, you didn't smack me on the ass.
That's exactly what he was trying to do.
Oh, she don't remember? Okay, well, what other things is she not going to remember?
Then he remembers asking her in the truck, did I kiss you? Did I just kiss you?
That's what he told the officers that he remembered saying to her, and she said no. But why would you say it if it didn't happen?
Right. I mean,
the detective pointed out that he had indicated that he was not intoxicated on the boat and that he should remember if he kissed the victim. Tatlock again asserted that he did not remember kissing her. The detective suggested that he and the victim had spilled alcohol on her leg and that he licked it off of her. When asked if he remembered doing this, he said, "I think I do, yes." He stated that he had forgotten about that until the detective had just brought it up.
Oh, shit. That's right. I licked frickin' vodka off this girl's thigh. My bad. Yeah, I remember that now. I don't remember kissing her. I didn't kiss her, but fuck yeah. I'm glad you brought that back up because I almost forgot. I did. I licked vodka off her thigh.
When asked if he had taken off the victim's bra under the backside of her shirt, Tatlock responded with a yes. I suggested to him that he had offered to show a trick to the victim by undoing her bra with one hand. He agreed with this scenario and that he acted upon it by undoing her bra with one hand. He agreed that he and the victim verbalized their attraction for each other. When asked what about the victim he was attracted to, Tatlock said, "She's just a good person and just fun."
The detective asked Tatlock if he knew the victim was 17 years old. He agreed that he knew. When asked what physical attributes the victim that he was attracted to, Tatlock said, quote, "I probably told her that she had a nice butt." When prompted, Tatlock showed me the map on what part of the lake they were in the boat when the physical contact between he and the victim was occurring. He asked Tatlock about taking a nap on the boat. He stated that he did. He fell asleep on the boat while trying to take a nap. He believed that the victim fell asleep also. Tatlock said other than the picture of the fish, he did not take any other pictures of himself or the victim. He described that napping was done on the floor of the boat near the center line with his head pointed towards the stern. When asked if they were cuddling, he said, quote, we were next to each other, like we weren't like wrapped up.
The detective told Tatlock that the victim had reported that he had rubbed her back and her leg. He agreed that he had done such things. The detective asked Tatlock if he had touched the victim's breast. He denied touching her bare breast, but agreed that he had touched her breast over the outside of her t-shirt. He even described what type of t-shirt that she was wearing, and that he said he had gotten into the water at one point and back on the boat because he had gotten the motor stuck. But he did not recall or believe that the victim had gotten into the water during the fishing trip, and he agreed that the victim got out of the boat to go use the restroom a couple of times. Now, the detective asked Tatlock how far physically he had gotten with the victim. He said, and I quote, "They're everything you talked about. That's it. There was no intercourse or anything like that," end quote. The detective asked Tatlock if he had put his hands in the victim's pants. He demonstrated that he had placed his hands inside of the side portion of her shorts. He denied touching her private area and also denied her touching his private area, and he denied anything else sexual happened.
He denied having an erection throughout the day. He reported that he had tried to place his hands down her pants and that she had turned away, saying that was a boundary being broken. He said, quote, "I didn't take it as that, but, Tatlock said that he did not remember making any comment to the victim about a tickle after attempting to move his hands toward the center line of her pants. He said he remembered rubbing his hand on the victim's hip. Again, he stated that he did not remember kissing her. It sounds like, to me, it kind of sounds like...
he don't remember kissing her, but he admittedly remembers to nibbling on her ear.
Well, I don't know. I get this kind of feeling from this PCA is he's a cop. He's probably been an investigator. He knows the laws. So if you touch somebody on the outside of their shirt, that may or may not be kind of a charge. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. If you're not mouth kissing somebody I mean, it sounds like he's riding the fucking boundary of shit, if you ask me. Honestly, it sounds like both of the interviews is riding the boundaries of some shit. Does that make sense, what I'm
It's
saying?
like riding, what you mean is it's riding right along the line.
Right. I mean, I touched her.
Touching, but no intercourse.
Right. I rubbed her back and I undid her bra just to rub her back. Yeah, I may have brushed up against, I touched her breast outside of the shirt like we were talking
Stuck
about.
my hands down her pants.
But it was on the side of her pants. You know what I mean? It wasn't around her private areas. It's kind of weird, man. I don't know. I just get the feeling that he's admitting it just enough that he thinks maybe
things.
Right, that he can't be charged. He's fucking wrong. The detective asked Tatlock if he remembered engaging in conversation with the victim about he and his wife's sexual relationship. He agreed, saying, quote unquote, yeah. Tatlock said that he did not remember how that came up, adding that he didn't want to talk about that. The detective shared that it had been described to him by the victim that Tatlock had made comments about being married to his wife for a long time, and they didn't have sex very often, maybe once a month. The detective suggested that he made a comment to the victim that after the once a month, quote, the shop was closed. Tatlock admitted saying this by, quote unquote, saying, probably, yeah, I probably said it. When asked, Tatlock denied making out with or having physical contact with the victim while they were in his office at the school. He agreed that June 4th was the only time physical contact had occurred between him and the victim. Tatlock seemed to agree that alcohol use had been a contributing factor to his actions with the victim on June 4th, even though 5 sentences ago
he wasn't drunk.
He barely drank any of the bottle of rum, barely drank any of it, but now alcohol is a factor.
Would he get him a gallon so he couldn't only say
shit? There's a whole lot of red paint going on here. I'm just saying. He then asked Tatlock if he remembered engaging in conversation with the victim about he and his wife's sexual relationship. He agreed, saying, yeah, I talked about it. Tatlock said that he did not remember how that even came up, adding that he didn't want to talk about that. I shared that I had been described to me by victim that Tatlock had made comments about him being married to his wife for a long time, that they didn't have sex very often, maybe once a month. I kind of suggested that he made the comment to the victim after that once a month was over that, quote, the shop was closed. Tatlock admitted to saying that by, quote, saying, probably, yeah, I probably said it.
Now, he denied making out or having any physical contact with the victim while they were in his school office or on school property, and said that the physical contact had only occurred on June 4th on the fishing trip. And at this point in time, he agreed that alcohol had been a contributing factor, even though 5 sentences ago.
Yeah, he said, I didn't drink barely anything, and now he's using that for a contributing factor. I then brought up that the victim had told me that Tatlock had shared with her that he had been unfaithful to his wife on more than one occasion. I talked about the specific incident that Tatlock had shared with the victim about having sex in the seat of his truck with a person other than his wife, and that there is a quote-unquote cum stain on the seat as a result of the sex act. Tatlock responded with a, yeah. He did not wish to speak about the event in detail, but he said what he had told the victim, quote, I mean, it's accurate. What if he ain't proud of that shit?
Tatlock responded with no to each question when it asked if he felt anything was awkward between him and the victim on the drive home, or if he felt that he had taken anything too far. Tatlock agreed that he had allowed the victim to operate his boat on the return trip to the boat ramp. He admitted that the victim sat on his lap, and to show more specifically, he pointed to his left knee. When asked questions about the boat trip, Tatlock denied the following when asked. He denied touching the victim while she was sleeping, denied having his privates out, denied ejaculating, and denied masturbating.
Tatlock shared that he did not have a gun on this boat or in his truck on June 4th, and shared that he is not in the regular practice of carrying his gun despite his position as an SRO. I shared with Tatlock that the victim had reported that after loading the boat back on the trailer on June 4th, that Tatlock had made a statement in the truck that loading the boat onto the trailer had been difficult due to being it while quote-unquote being drunk. Tatlock indicated that he didn't remember making that statement to the victim. Tatlock said that he did not feel like he needed to pretend to be drunk. He also stated that he did not feel like he was drunk at that time, but alcohol was a factor.
He did admit that he may have made a comment about having difficulty because normally he had someone to help him load the boat, but the victim couldn't do any of that. He added that he would not want to drive on the road from the lake while intoxicated.
Of course. They went through some more questioning, and Tatlock had admitted that he invited the victim after the incident to go to Hard Truth in Brown County. He admitted that they had a conversation about fake IDs. Tatlock said that he never told her that he would get her a fake ID, but she talked about maybe getting a fake ID.
Isn't Hard Truth a distillery?
I'm not 100% sure.
Or not Martinsville, but Brown County.
It's in Nashville, I think.
Yeah, they did talk about a fake ID because she's not even 18 yet. And how would she get in?
And he already bought her some raspberry or whatever it's called, this Svedka. Guarantee they talked about it.
He's lying.
They then directed Tatlock to discuss, in his own words, the conversation that occurred between him and the victim. And he's talking about when she came to his office 2 days after the incident. And here's his version of it in quotes.
And he said, I just noticed like the day before she was acting distant. And I asked her, are you okay? Is something up? And she came in and said that she wanted things to go back how they were, to him being a father figure to her, and that she's sorry things worked out like they did. He told her, don't worry about it. She assured him that nobody's going to find out about anything, and that she just really she needed to be with somebody her own age. And he was like, that's fine. I'm here if you need me. No hard feelings.
Tatlock agreed that the victim had said that she wasn't going to tell anyone about the boat incident, adding that he had not asked her not to tell anyone. When asked how that made him feel, Tatlock said, I was probably already knowing that, the whole thing was just stupid and a bad idea, But at that point, I was like, yeah, it solidified that thought.
When asked about what point he had thought that it had been a bad idea, he was not able to verbalize when this had occurred to him. He seemed to agree when suggesting that it was after June 4th. He denied that any explicit photos had been exchanged between him and the victim. When asked about their email exchanges, he denied sending any content about masturbation. I suggested that there may have been some sexual innuendos exchanged between him and the victim, and he agreed, but said that there had been nothing explicit shared in emails. When asked further about discussing the topic of masturbation with the victim, Tatlock agreed by saying, oh, yeah. And he indicated that they had talked about masturbation as a running joke because she had come in the office one day and was talking about girls using hairbrushes or curling irons or something. And then she said something about other sexual stuff. And the detective asked Tatlock if the victim had said some of these things, and he responded, yeah, I think so. So he was having a conversation with an inappropriate conversation with her.
Well, the look on your face when you said hairbrushes and curling irons was priceless. Is that a thing? That's fucked up.
I've never heard of it. That's disgusting. Yuck.
Tatlock said that he did not share any personal masturbation practices in exchange with the victim. He said that he thought that they had discussed masturbation both previously in his office as well as while on the boat trip. I asked Tatlock if his wife had known that he had taken the victim out to the lake. He responded, well, quote, she does now. Tatlock admitted that he had lied to his wife on June 4th by telling her that he was taking 2 older guys fishing that day. Tatlock did not believe that his wife had been suspicious of the trip after telling her the ruse. Tatlock thought that he had verbalized an apology to the victim in his office on June 6th. He said, I think I told her. I said, I've seen this coming, just the way she was acting. I'm sorry it worked out and it happened this way, but I told her I was here for her if she needed anything or whatever. So Tatlock also denied that he had talked to the victim since that conversation on June 6th. He indicated that he had not talked to anybody about the incident prior to being notified by school officials. He agreed that he did have some thoughts of concern after June 6th. So after she came in there and broke it off, then he started getting worried. Then he started regretting what happened.
The detective asked Tatlock about his wife's reaction of hearing the news, and he said, I mean, she's obviously sick about it.
I bet she is sick about it. I feel so bad for his wife, too.
The detective asked Tatlock, have you ever done anything like this before? And he replied, no. The detective suggested that with the victim being 17 years old, that she was the youngest person he had ever fooled around with. And Tatlock responded, 100% yeah. He denied having any relationships with any other students at Bloomington North. He denied threatening the victim in any way to prevent her from telling anyone what had happened between them.
Tatlock denied ever having sex with anyone under the age of 18. He also denied messaging or communicating with anyone else under the age of 18. He also denied ever being on any dating apps. Tatlock was confronted and asked if he had kissed the victim or not on June 4th. Tatlock said, I seriously don't. I seriously, 100%, I do not. He agreed that he did remember nibbling on the victim's ear. Tatlock denied kissing the victim on the neck. When asked again about kissing on the lips, Tatlock said, I don't remember. And like I said, when we got in the truck, I asked her if we kissed. When asked why he had asked her that, he said that he had thought that they had kissed, but that victim told him that they did not kiss. That's fucking weird. Yeah. He didn't have a buzz, but he couldn't remember what happened. He couldn't remember kissing the girl.
Tatlock thought that when he was sleeping, he might have dreamt that he and the victim had kissed. That was his reasoning on why he had asked the victim later if they had kissed. He said that he had his doubts, but then offered, so if she says we did, then we probably did.
The rest of the interview basically goes through a lot of the same things repeated over and over. They did ask Tatlock if there was condoms on the boat, if he used condoms when he screwed around on his wife. He admitted that he did. He said there wasn't on his boat. Basically, he didn't plan on having intercourse with the victim that day. If he would have planned on that, it wouldn't have been on the boat in public. Basically, just standoffish and saying the same shit. You can tell he's kind of at bay at this point, just only agreeing to the bare minimum and whatever that he thinks that they know or what she had told them, I think.
So they wrap up this interview. They get a search warrant so they can go through his electronic devices and things of that nature. Now, the report of the review of his phone states they didn't find any child pornography or anything really inappropriate on his phone at all.
I did find something that kind of touched me a little bit, and it just made me think, about what the hell was going on. His wife had texted him a Bible scripture at 7:49 a.m., and it referenced Romans 8:6. Keep in mind, listeners, at 7:49 a.m., he is sitting at the Bloomington North High School waiting on this girl to get there. He's already there with his boat hooked up, his truck fired up, sitting there ready to roll to take her on this fishing trip. And his wife texted him this Bible verse, and I'm going to read it to you. It says, "So letting your sinful nature control your mind leads to death, but letting the Spirit control your mind leads to a life and peace, leads to life and peace."
Oh, that was nice.
I know. It seemed like she was reading his mind just like you do mine.
And you know what? He did not respond to that text.
She
Completely
then,
ignored her.
right. Like, really, dude? Then she wrote him again at 12:10 p.m. and asked, "Hey, how's it going?" He still didn't respond to her. She wrote him again at 1:58. Hey, you still fishing? He responded by saying, "Still going," but that's it, just 2 words. She responded and saying, "Yikes, it's hot. Did you bring food with you?" He didn't respond to her. She wrote at 5:15, "Hey, are you headed home?" He didn't respond to her there either, and that was no text at all from him to her after that.
He does not respect her.
No wonder the shop's fucking closed.
No shit.
You know what I mean?
Who would blame her?
Wouldn't even text her back. Like, this dude's out.
Yeah, no wonder she don't want to be touched or intimate or anything. She's texting you, caring about how your day's going, and you can't even give her 2 minutes to say, "Oh, babe, hey, we're on the lake. Things are going good." Well, because he knew he was doing shit wrong.
Yeah, he was hanging out with some other chick with fruit snacks and
minor.
vodka. That pretty much wraps up the PCA. Let's get in, to how we feel about the charges and the crime and his record. I mean, the absence of the record. I mean, these charges, it's not very serious. These charges are not compared to like
serious.
Brittany Fortenberry type charges.
Yeah, yeah. When you start taking a look at all kinds of cases, you see that there's like levels, and I would say that it's still bad, but on the levels we've seen, this is like minimum. Praise Jesus, he didn't have any bad stuff on his phone or anything like that.
Right. To all occurrences, it seems like
an isolated incident.
Officer Tatlock was, except for maybe he was getting tired of his wife, unfortunately. I mean, that happens to marriages after 20, 30 years sometimes, not to all of them, but you see this often. And it seems like he was a pretty good dude, really.
Bullshit. He was whoring around on his old lady left and right.
I mean, other than that.
There's no other than that. That's a dog.
What a piece of shit. No, but I'm just saying, really. I wonder if he hadn't have been the school resource officer, if there'd have even been charges brought, because, I mean, he could have got the delinquency of a minor and the furnishing of alcohol charge, which I've never really heard of before. I've only heard of it as the contributing to the delinquency. But the child seduction one, it states, and we can go back to that, refer to part 1 of this, but it literally is only a charge for some, like a little bit of misconduct, not even like a sexual, like a hardcore, like a sexual misconduct, or being sexually assaulted. I personally wouldn't call it that. I saw a news TV said that she was sexually assaulted. Like, I don't know, just to me.
Well, I mean, they're cross-referencing it.
Right, I get that.
She felt assaulted, so that's what they're going to report. Even though it says battery. I think the battery and assault are interchangeable, kind of.
But what I mean is, I'm just curious if he hadn't have been in the position of trust as the charge.
Would it have been a different charge besides child seduction?
Well, I wonder if he would have even been charged at all. I mean, honestly. Well, I mean, what could they have charged him with? I mean, it's
they could, if you touch anybody, like just like that. They can charge you with sexual assault for just putting your hand on somebody's ass.
And you said he was charged with battery as well, right?
Yes, but a misdemeanor battery.
But not a sexual battery.
No, not sexual battery.
Let's read the definition of Indiana, a misdemeanor battery, real quick, just so we can go through that. So in Indiana, misdemeanor battery is defined by Indiana Code 35-42-2-1 as knowingly or intentionally touching another person in a rude, insolent, or angry manner, or placing bodily fluid or waste on them in such manner. It's divided into two classes based on the circumstances. He was charged as a Class B misdemeanor. This applies when the act involves improper touching, an example, pushing, poking, spitting, or bumping in an angry or insulting way, but does not result in bodily injury. The penalties for up to 180 days in jail and a fine of up to $1,000. But it says in a angry or insulting way. I think the detectives or the charging agency is like really fucking reaching on this dude, honestly. I mean, look, it's a fucking shitty thing. It's immoral as fuck. He was the school resource officer. She was 16 when they met. I get that. She was 17, so she was months away. I don't know how many months away from being 18. The consent law is 16. It's really fucking immoral because he's 45 and she's 17 years old at the time. But they're charging him with battery, and I don't see that they'll ever get a battery in that. I doubt he was pissed off the whole time he was nibbling on her ear or kind of smacked her butt. He wasn't fucking, it wasn't an angrily manner. She never said he was pissed off at that, or it was like meaningful to hurt her type shit. That's what battery means, right?
Well, I guess there's different classes of it.
Well, I'm just stating the Indiana
Here's
codes.
What's going to happen.
What they charged him with.
These cases that we see, how many cases have we seen where they drop all the lower charges, you plead to the top one, and I guarantee you that's what's going to happen. The plea deal is going to be he cops to the felony, and they dismiss the rest of them.
And it'll probably be where it maybe even be like a misdemeanor, what do they call that? The deferred program or whatever it is, where you can get your first charges dropped down to a misdemeanor, or a deferral program or something.
Yeah, I don't know.
At the time of this podcast, the victim is 18. This just happened last year. She's an adult now.
Yeah.
Just so much bullshit over a mistake that got fucked up in this dude's head. I mean, it's a horrible deal.
It doesn't seem like he has any type of patterns. I mean, they went through his laptop. They went through his phone. They didn't find nothing sexual in nature on his phone. There was nothing reported like that. So I really think it was an isolated incident and a man thinking immorally.
Absolutely immoral. I mean, the dude's old enough. He could have damn near been her grandpa. If he had kids young. I mean, it could fucking happen.
It seemed like all this happened within the last 2 weeks of school where it got uncomfortable or the jokes, it started with, the inappropriate jokes, the sexual innuendos, which he should have cut off immediately. He should have known. I mean, it's his actions that have led him that far. Absolutely.
I agree with you 100%. Let's let this be a lesson to everybody, for teenage girls and older men maybe going through midlife crisis or some bullshit in their relationship. Don't let little bullshit like this get too far. I mean, even though she's a minor, they were telling dirty jokes, and it just still sticks in my mind that it like in both interviews, she brought this case to the police. Okay, so there was a couple of things that jumped for me. It jumped from him giving her snacks to maybe small boob jokes to And now them talking about masturbation, and then it jumps from there to them drinking on a fucking boat, talking about dude nutting over some girl's head. I mean, there's a lot of shit that jumps right there. I think it progressed a lot more slowly than it should have. He should have cut that shit off from the very beginning. Mm-hmm. And I still can't get it out of my head that I wonder if something else didn't happen on that boat that she didn't want to admit to just for sheer embarrassment or being ashamed of what happened. And he damn sure ain't going to fucking bring it up, you know? It's just my opinion.
But shame on him for, he knew how she looked at him and
Absolutely.
how she thought of him. And he took advantage of that.
He played her like a fiddle. He used her like a little puppet. He had this plan from the gate. And by no means at all am I taking up for the dude. None whatsoever. He knew what he was doing from day one. He saw her. Obviously, she was developed for her age, I may say. And then, I mean, I haven't seen her, but I'm just saying from reading this story, it seems like that may be the case. There was a lot of boob jokes going around between her and him. It just, he should have been professional and not let it get too far. He got it trying to be the fucking cool resource officer cop, be her buddy, and then it inched further until it fucking spiraled out of control. And now look where everybody's at with the situation.
Exactly. And had he, been thinking with his head and not what was in his pants, I bet they could have still had a good relationship going forward. They still would have been buddies. He ruined all of that.
I hope nothing else comes out about this dude. I really do. I hope he gets his shit together. I hope he pays for what happened and life goes on. I even hope maybe him and his wife, work their shit out and they can be. I just want everybody in the world to be happy, and that's what I pray for every day.
Amen.
But anyway, God bless everybody, and thank you to our new Patreon members. We're getting new Patreon members every day. They are getting bonus episodes. They're getting early releases. They're getting extra shit. They're being able to read these PCAs. So thank you for supporting us and helping us keep the lights on in the studio. If you would like to be a Patreon member, please go to
www.patreon.com/69Sal.
and sign up for $5 a month and become a roadside
listener.
Until then, everybody, have a good day, good evening, whatever.